Peace. What's going on, everybody? Give everybody a chance to tune on in before I start building on the topic for the day. Got to be brief. Got to keep it simple today. I don't have much time, but I'm going to definitely get the point across today in the short time that I do have. So give everybody a chance to tune in before we start diving into the important subject matter today pertaining to the belly fat. Everybody has this goal to get rid of that belly fat, man. I'm going to build on some truths about what really needs to be done to eliminate that belly fat. So hopefully everybody is having a powerful Thursday thus far, man. Hopefully everything is going smooth, peaceful, productive, positive, prosperous, all those good things. So we got to do some light building today, man. Get that belly fat up off you, man. Got to get healthy. Got to take care of that midsection. Got to take care of that midsection. Got to take care of that core. Got to make sure we're doing what's necessary to make sure this midsection, the abdominal area, is right and exact. So how everybody holding up out here? Give everybody a little more time to tap in. Say we press for time, but we're gonna get the point across though. We're gonna keep it simple, stupid, as they say. Keep it simple. So how this Thursday treating everybody, man? We got to destroy some quick myths too in regards to the abs, man. A lot of myths, man. A lot of people think you can go into the gym and you could just do sit-ups, you could do crunches, and that's just going to eliminate the abs. People don't understand that the abs, the belly fat, all of that is primarily made in the kitchen. It primarily revolves around what you consume. So a lot of people just go to the gym and do a bunch of sit-ups, do a bunch of crunches, do a bunch of side bends, do a lot of ab-specific work, and they wonder why the abs are not developing, and they wonder why the belly fat is not shrinking. They wonder why they're not getting rid of the belly fat, because that's counterproductive. That's not how you're supposed to do it. You have to change the way that you eat in regards to eliminating the belly fat. That is of the utmost importance when it comes to shrinking that belly fat or getting rid of that belly fat. Have to pay attention to what you are consuming. I say that's about 90% of the problem, man. Doing the ab work is nothing. It's light. But you got to shrink that belly fat. You got to get rid of that belly fat first before you start forming the abs and actually developing that six-pack. A lot of people don't understand that process. They try to skip that part of the process and go right into the hardcore ab work. And all that you end up doing is developing that strong layer, the strong abs underneath all of that fat. And that's not necessarily what we aiming for. That's not what we aiming for at all. You want to get rid of the belly fat first, then develop the abs, then tone the abs up, develop that six-pack. That's how it's supposed to go. But we try to work backwards. We develop the six-pack first underneath all the layers of fat. So we're not doing anything to get rid of the belly fat. Yet we got this six-pack, yet we got these hardcore abs underneath all of that fat. Working backwards. We hustling backwards, man. You got to do what's necessary to shrink the belly fat first. And it's a lot of different ways we could go about shrinking that particular the belly fat. A lot of different ways we can go about shrinking it, getting rid of it. Divine, peace. What's going on with you, my brother? Andrew, 1228 the Great. Peace. What's going on with y'all, man? How y'all living? So we see a lot of brothers out here primarily with the beer bellies, man. Y'all done seen it. Magic Realms, peace. What's going on when you can walk up, punch dude in his stomach and it's rock solid, but yet he has a massive gut? All that means is the person is probably putting in ab work, but they're not doing anything to shrink that belly fat, to get rid of the belly fat. Hence why they had this solid gut. The gut real strong and solid. It feels like a rock when you touch it, when you hit it or something like that. That's because they working backwards. They working backwards, man. They trying to develop the abs before getting rid of the belly fat. Brandon, peace, what's going on? So that's counterproductive, man. You need to do what's required to get rid of that belly fat first, man. So you need to put your get your cardio in and change the way that you eat. Once you get rid of that belly fat, once the belly fat shrinks, now we focusing on putting in that ab work to tone the abs up, develop the obliques, develop the lower abdominals, upper abdominals, and things of that nature. That's when we start toning up and putting in a lot of work in regards to the ab specific exercises. DJ Papered Up, what's going on? Andrew, first and foremost, when it comes to D, peace, what's going on? When it comes to getting rid of the belly fat, you got to pay attention to a few things in regards to staying away from them. Shakir, peace, what's going on? The refined carbs, no good. Artificial added sugar, no good. You want to stay away from all of that. All the breads, the pastas, the cakes, the cookies. For the most part, you want to stay away from all of that. Beautiful Goddess Keys, peace, Queen, what's going on? Travian, what's going on? Miss Donnie, what's going on? Ricky, Kev, peace. How everybody doing? But you want to stay away from the refined carbs. Anything processed, you want to stay away from it, man. You want to primarily focus on eating whole foods. Your fruits, your veggies. You can dabble with the whole grains. You can dabble with the whole wheat if you want to. You got to experiment when it comes to like any form of bread. So if you consume the whole wheat bread and you see that it's adding on to the problem, then I recommend staying away from it. If you consuming the bread and you see that it's not adding on to the problem, then the whole wheat bread can be cool. It can serve its purpose. But for the most part, I try to tell people to stay away from the bread when it comes to eliminating that belly fat. But you want to focus on the whole foods, man, your organic fruits and your veggies. You want to get your whole grains in. You want to get your nuts and seeds, and you want to get plenty of water. Now, all of that we already know, but it's the things that we need to stay away from that becomes the problem. Again, if you overly consuming the dairy products, you're dealing with a lot of sugar. You're dealing with a lot of fat, added fat in regards to those particular products. That's adding on to the waistline. That's adding on to the waistline. Even when you talk about the meat that we tend to eat, that's adding on to the waistline. Alcohol definitely adds on to the waistline. All of these sodas that we tend to drink and even these fruit juices that we buy out of the stores, they are overly laced with a lot of sugar. So that's adding on to the waistline. So we got to stay away from all of that nonsense because that's just adding on to the waistline. You want to pay attention to your visceral fat number. That is an indicator or a predictor of diabetes. So you want to keep that number low. You want to get you a scale that gives you the visceral fat number. I got a scale fresh off of Amazon that gives you all of that. It's INEVIFIT scale. You type that in on Amazon and you're going to find the exact scale that I'm talking about that gives you the visceral fat number. So you want to make sure you're paying attention to that particular number, the visceral fat. That's the abdominal fat. So we definitely want to pay attention to that. Definitely want to pay attention to that, man. But we want to, again, make sure we consuming the whole foods, man. Your legumes, like your lentils. You want to make sure you're getting your beans in, fresh fruit, veggies. Get you some smoothies in on a daily basis. And then they tend to talk about protein a lot when it comes to the abs, but y'all already know how that go. We don't want to overdo the protein. And even still, we want to focus on getting the plant-based sources of protein, man. Try to get you some almond butter in and things of that nature. So we want to get in healthy fats, healthy proteins, plant-based protein. We do not want to overindulge in the animal protein. Not good. That adds on to the waistline. Mahogany, peace. What's going on? Montel, what's going on with you? Thunder Scorpion. When it comes to the gym, again, it depends on what the goal is. If your goal is to get lean, get shredded, get rid of the belly fat, then I always recommend that you try to work out in a fasted state if you can. Some people feel like they can't do it, feel like they're going to pass out. But if you're able to work out in that fasted state, especially early in the morning, that's what I recommend. Don't consume anything. Work out in that fasted state. Get it in while fasting. That'll help you shred up. That'll help you get rid of that belly fat rather quickly, opposed to eating before you work out. So I definitely recommend working out in that fasted state, getting you some cardio in that fasted state. Even do you some strength training. You're not going to be as strong in the fasted state, but do you some weightlifting in that fasted state. That'll help shred you up. That'll help lean you out. That'll help get rid of the belly fat. That's important. And when it comes to the abs too, this is another thing. When it comes to the abs, when it comes to belly fat, I have to break things down to people. When you say you want to work on your core is not just your abs. The core involves your hips, your abs, your abdominals, your obliques, and all of that, and your lower back. All of this is incorporated with your core. So when you say core, you're not just specifically talking about your abdominal muscles. Lower back and your hips are involved in your core. So when you work in your lower back, you are also working your core. It's a lot of muscles involved within the core. So it's not just your abdominal muscles. So stop saying, I want to work my core and think you're only talking about your abs. You're talking about your lower back as well. You're talking about your hips as well. And you're talking about some leg muscles as well. These are all involved in the core. So I just want to break that down. And Kev, I recommend no eating before working out if that's your goal. If you're trying to shred up, lean out, lose some weight, burn some fat. If you're trying to burn some fat, don't eat before you work out. Work out in that fasted state. That'll help you get into the fat burning zone rather quickly, opposed to eating before you work out. Now, obviously, if you got a goal to bulk up and add muscle, then of course you may want to consume something before working out. But if your goal is to burn that fat, shred up a little bit, work out in that fasted state, you're going to get there rather quickly. Andrew, you say I'm buffering. I'm looking good on my end. So there we go. They playing with me. And Kev M, when it comes to lower abs, depending on what you have access to, one of the best exercises for lower abs is leg lifts. Leg lifts. And then if you got access to a gym, you could do like leg raises. And you eventually want to work your way up to doing these ab movements with weights. That's also going to take your ab development to the next level, doing weighted ab exercises. I stress this all the time. You're not really going to develop your best abs by doing 1 million sit-ups and 1 million crunches a day. Start doing ab movements with weights. Even when you plank, put you a weight on your back. If you're doing side planks, hold a weight up in the air, get a dumbbell, hold it up, add some resistance to the ab movements. That's going to strengthen the abs. You want some strong abs. You don't want to just have a six pack, but then your abdominal muscles are weak and your core is weak. So you always want to strengthen the core, strengthen the muscle. So you want to add weights, add resistance to some of these movements. So if you're doing leg lifts, once you get a little comfortable doing the leg lifts with no weight, add a little dumbbell, put a dumbbell in between your leg or your feet, lift that joint up, add some resistance. You always want to work your way up to adding resistance to your ab movements. That is important. That takes your ab development to the next level. That takes your ab development to the next level. And Tavon, it depends on what you eat before the workout. I recommend only eating fruit before you work out. But for the most part, people tend to eat everything but a fruit before the workout. Hence why you will feel fatigued. Reason why you feeling fatigued, because you ate a heavy meal and now your digestive system is doing some work to process the heavy meal that you just consumed. So when you eat something light like a fruit, man, that fruit going right into the bloodstream, giving you the energy that you need to get that workout in. So that's why I recommend eating some light fruit before the workout, because that's going to give you that energy, opposed to anything that takes a minute to go through the system and run its course. That's going to wear you down. That's going to tire you out. But we got to be patient when it comes to the belly fat, man. A lot of people are trying to rush this process, man. We want abs overnight. We want a flat belly overnight. Don't work like that, man. That's the most stubborn body part. It takes a minute and it takes some discipline to get the belly fat down, man. So you got to be patient. Got to be patient with yourself when it comes to abs. And another thing, Another thing that you must do, another thing that took my abs to the next level that a lot of people don't know. When I developed my abs and got them to reach their peak, I was not doing a lot of ab specific exercises. My routine only consisted of about 2 ab exercises per workout. Shakira, what you say? Would it be a good idea to eat a fruit smoothie of just 2 fruits before workout? Yep, man. Get you like some bananas and some strawberries or something. Bananas and blueberries. Put them in a smoothie. Drink it. Boom. Get your workout in. But back to what I was saying. When my abs reached their peak, I was not doing a lot of ab workouts. A lot of people thought I was going crazy in the gym with the ab workouts. I was doing 1,000,000 sit-ups, 1,000,000 crunches. No. What took my abs to the next level was literally strength training. And y'all heard me break these movements down. The basic movements. When I started deadlifting, squatting, bench pressing, push-ups, pull-ups, military press, when I started doing these things in proper form or with proper form, took my abs to the next level. Because again, notice I said the abs are involved. They are part of the core. So when you do these basic movements, you are involving the core, and you're supposed to do what they call when we did it back in college, say set your core. So before you do any exercise, before you do any lift, you had to set your core. And that basically means just kind of brace the abs, tighten the abs. We were supposed to do this before every movement, before every lift. We tighten the abs. We brace the abs. We tighten them. So when you do that before every lift, man, I'm telling you, that's going to take your abs to the next level. Tay, D Monty, peace. What's going on? Oh, Tavon, if you eat prior to a workout, it depends on what you didn't consume. If you consume fruits about 30 to 45 minutes, you're ready to rock. If you consume anything other than a fruit, give it about an hour or two. And people tend to make a mistake. And for the life of me, I don't understand why people do this. But the worst thing that you can consume before you work out is milk. Any type of milk, even if it's almond milk, it don't matter the milk. When you drink any form of milk before you work out, you are probably not going to feel great. So don't do that. Don't have almond milk. Don't have anything involving any type of milk before a workout. It's not going to turn out good for you. Just don't do it. Don't do that. Either work out in that fasted state or consume you some fruits. Just that simple. Don't make it complicated. Don't make it complicated. That's all we need to focus on. All right. Before I work out, either fruits or I'm going to work out in this fasted state. Terenzo, peace. What's going on with you? Yeah, Master Tube. Don't do the milk. I done took that L too many times back in the day. Milk before the workout, end up throwing up every time. And I done trained plenty of people. Milk before the workout, they got to throw up. They feeling bad, man. That milk, it rots in your system, man. You do not want anything that's going to rot in the system while you're working out. Don't do it. D Monty, no, man. I eat bananas religiously. When I do eat something before I work out, for the most part, I'm going to do a banana. If I eat something, if I have access to making a smoothie, I'm going to do the smoothie. Swag yourself. Peace. Nick, peace. What's going on? Tay, that's the best way to do it. That's the best way to do it. Justin, Derek James, peace. What's going on? But yeah, we got to be patient with the belly fat. Like I said, man. And then on top of that, man, a lot of my ladies out here wearing these waist trainers, which is really unnecessary. Like I said, when you start squatting heavy, when you start deadlifting, when you start military press, doing military presses, doing the pull-ups, your push-ups, all of that good stuff, that is going to develop the belly. That's going to develop your abs, man. That waist trainer, you listen, if you're putting the waist trainer on, but then you're not changing the way that you eat, and you really are doing absolutely nothing. Like you doing absolutely nothing. You're just suffocating yourself at that particular point in time. So again, that's unnecessary to be suffocating yourself, man. Change the way that you eat. Eat as clean as you possibly can. Start strength training, and then do about 2 to 3 ab movements a workout, and you good to roll. And that's another thing, man. People think that they can out crunch a bad diet. They can out crunch bad eating habits and all of that. Impossible. You can work your abs 7 days a week. If you're not changing the way that you're eating, again, all that you're going to have is that rock. the rock solid abs underneath them layers of fat. That's all that you're gonna have. That's all that you're gonna have, man. If you sit out here working your abs to death 7 days a week, but you're not changing what you're eating, you're gonna have rock solid abs underneath layers of fat. And you do not want that. You do not want that at all. The best thing to do is to focus on minimizing or eliminating the belly fat first, then shape up the abs, tone up the abs. That's when you start developing the six pack, man. But don't really start going hard on the ab movements until you get rid of the belly fat. That's what you want to do. Thunder Scorpion, man, appreciate that donation. Yeah, we don't, we already know the cow's milk is destructive, period. But even like the almond milk and things like that before a workout, nope, don't do it. Don't do it. But you find out that stomach gets real sensitive when it comes to what you eat or put in it before you work out. So you want to be real cautious, man. Fruits are like the safest thing. And then another good way to work the abs. People don't understand the abs have several portions to it. So a lot of people neglect the obliques, which are the side abs. It's the side portion of the abs. So you want to make sure, like you want to do some functional movements to target each portion of the abs. So you want to make sure you're doing something to just kind of stabilize the core, strengthen the core. That's where planks come in. That's why people do a lot of planks. Then if you focusing on the side obliques, you want to do side planks, side bends. That target, those things target the side, the obliques. So that's important. Then we want to start looking at the lower abs. So you start doing things like V-ups, leg lifts, even knee crunches, knee tucks. Those things are good for like the lower abs. And then just for the overall tonnage of it, you can do things like crunches. You can do things like sit-ups, but you got to be mindful when it comes to sit-ups. Sit-ups can impact your back along with leg lifts. Leg lifts, you can feel it in the lower back. One of the reasons why you feel these things in the lower back is because, again, the lower back is involved in the core. So if your lower back is not necessarily strong, meaning you don't do deadlifts. Deadlifts is one of the best movements to strengthen the lower back. A lot of people have weak lower backs. So if you're doing any of these ab movements and you feeling it in your lower back muscles are probably weak because a lot of people don't do things to specifically target the lower back muscles. So when you're doing sit-ups and leg lifts, you can feel these movements. Most ab movements or a lot of ab movements, you can feel them in the lower back. But when you're feeling them in the lower back, man, your lower back muscles are probably weak because a lot of people, like I said, don't specifically do movements to target that lower back. Deadlifting is one of the only ones. If you have one of those back extension machines, then that also can target the lower back. But you want to make sure you're doing some deadlifting or, man, some back extensions and things of that nature to strengthen that lower back. Do not neglect your lower back. Do some movements that strengthen in the lower back. Lower back strength is very important, especially when it comes to abdominal strength and just core strength in general. Do not neglect your lower back. Oh, D Monty, man, it's a lot of different things you can do in order to make like planks tougher, man. One thing, like I said, you put that weight on your back, add some resistance. And then it's another form of a plank where you can kind of sway back and forth while planking. That complicates the plank. Then you can start lifting like one arm up and then a leg up. That complicates the plank. So you lift, say if you lift your left arm up, you will bring the right leg out and up. And you hold that position while planking. That will do your core and your abs some justice. And that helps with balance and things of that nature. So try doing those type of planks. When you start doing a regular elbow plank and it becomes a little simple, a little too easy, then that's when you start bringing them arms up. Opposite arm, opposite leg. Hold that for about 15 seconds a pop. But one is going to be complicated. You're going to be swinging all over the place. You're going to be shaking. But that takes your ab, that takes the ab development to the next level. I did a lot of those joints. Then something they call bird dogs. That's also pretty good for the ab. Oh, D Monty, stabilized like a big dog, man. Tell him we did a lot of those back in college. And again, that's when my abs were the greatest. I did the regular planks that you see, but then once that became too easy, that's when we started saying, okay, bring the arm up, bring the leg up. and hold that position. We started doing a lot of those side planks, man, side bends, side crunches, things of that nature. Then make sure you can do like seated twist. If you got access to a gym, then you can go, man, I'm trying to think of how to explain this particular workout, man. You can go to like the cables and you can bring the cable down, and then you can kind of bring it up in that diagonal motion. If you got access to a cable machine, like a pulley machine, that works the abs as well. But again, you don't need to go too crazy. You don't need to go too crazy with the ab work, as long as you strength training. When you strength training, the ab work ain't really that important. Like I said, we was working out 4 times a week, and we did 2 ab movements each workout. And we only did like 2 sets of the ab movements. So again, we wasn't going too crazy with the ab movements. And I'm telling you, my abs were the best that I've ever gotten them when I was following that regimen. Most of my ab development came from strength training. Like military presses, man. When you take some dumbbells or a barbell and lift it overhead, pay attention to your abs. See how your abs are working when you do that. Your abs are heavily involved when you do that movement. Like that is almost like an ab movement, man. When you take that weight, press it overhead, all activation within the abs, man. Just pay attention. When you deadlifting that heavy weight, all activation with the abs. When you squatting that heavy weight, your abs are involved. And make sure you set that core. Stand up straight. A lot of people don't understand that. That's why my job is important as a personal trainer. That's why I exist. Like before you go into a movement, your stance and posture is everything. A lot of times people just lazily go into a lift. Man, you got to make sure you standing up straight. You got to make sure you are on your square. You standing firm. Don't just go into a lift all lazy. Make sure your posture is straight, man. You got to set your posture, set your core, stand up straight, stand up erect. That is important before you do any lift. Make sure your stance is on point. Make sure your feet are on point. I done seen a lot of people, man, before they squat, look, they just put the weight on the back and start squatting. I like, man, check your feet first. How are you standing? Like, don't just take the weight and then just start squatting. No, make sure your posture is on point. Make sure your stance is on point. Make sure you got it all together. Then you go into the movement. Then you pick the weight up. Then you lift the weight. That's when you make that move. Don't just say, all right, I'm going to go squat and put it on your back, start squatting. Man, you about to set your knees up for failure, your back up for failure. Don't do it. Set that core. Make sure the feet together. Make sure the toes pointing straight out. And if you squatting, then they want to go slightly outward a little bit. But make sure everything is on point. Make sure the stance is good. Then you start the movement. A lot of times we just be rushing. Oh, Nick, yes, sir. Definitely. You can definitely substitute. Definitely. You can get a lot of work in with the dumbbells, man. Do you some leg lifts with the dumbbell. Hold the dumbbell straight up. Get your leg lift on with the dumbbell. Get you a stability ball too. You can find cheap stability balls on Amazon. Those are good for the abs as well. But like I said, you ain't necessarily got to go too crazy when it comes to those ab movements. So don't think you got to be going crazy doing 100 sit-ups and 100 crunches a day. You can do that, but that's not necessarily going to help expedite the process of developing the abs and get rid of the body fat. It's really not. It could be just as effective if you do 4 sets of 20 with a weight, opposed to just knocking out 150 sit-ups with no weight. I'll tell you, Ashley, hey, Tay, that's pretty solid. That's pretty solid. It's a good way to make sure the core is neutral, to make sure your stance is on point, because that's very important. Make sure that stance is on point. But that strength training, that's gonna take your core and your abs to the next level. You watch what you eat, man. If you eat clean, if you eat the whole foods and all of that good stuff, man. If you eat clean and you strength train and you just do 2 ab movements a workout, and you do that 4 times a week, and then on a 5th day you do some cardio, like some jump rope, get you some running in, get you some sprinting in, whatever it is that you do for cardio. Telling you, your abs are developed like that, depending on where you are in at your level of fitness. Like if you like me, then it takes a minute, because I've been doing this for a minute. But if you kind of new to this, man, you're gonna see that development rather quickly. Yeah, Magic Rims. And I'm glad you brought up Bruce Lee. Another thing that Bruce Lee talked about was not speeding through your ab movements. He focused on like contraction and things like that. So take it slow. So don't speed through the reps. Take your time. Take your time through the reps, man. That also helps develop the abs. So when you doing, like I tell people when they do crunches, instead of just crunching all fast, when you go to the top, hold that position for 2 seconds, then go back down. When you doing leg lifts, don't just start swinging your legs up and down. Take your time. Take your time on the lowering portion of it. Just take your time. Don't speed through the ab movements. We say slow and control. So you always want to control the movement. You don't want to just use momentum to get through the movement. It should always be slow and controlled. And that's even when you lifting weights. You never want to speed through the reps. Always slow and controlled. So whatever you're doing, slow and controlled. That is crucial. When you squatting, slow and controlled. Pause for a second on the way down, then come back up. When you bench pressing, y'all see me on IG, I tap the chest, hold it for a second, come back up. That's real strength. You see a lot of dudes, man, they do things, they try to keep that tension on the muscle. That's a bodybuilding technique, but that ain't necessarily making you strong. We aim for strength. So we going through the full range of motion. So I'm locking it out. I'm pausing, bow, then I'm bringing it back up. I'm not pausing and then coming up barely and just going back down like that. We not doing that, man. We after strength. We trying to do things that's functional. So I'm locking it out and I'm pausing. That's full strength because I'm controlling the weight. I'm controlling the weight. Now, bodybuilding is your thing and muscle growth is what you after, then that's cool. But I promote people being strong. So you always want to control the weight. You don't want to let the weight control you using all of that momentum. So you want to make sure you pause, then you come back up. That's true strength. That's true strength. Tavon, when you do anything slowly, you're going to feel that burn. When you take your time with those reps, you're going to feel that almighty burn. I've done some workouts where it was real slow. The set was real slow. I'm talking about the descending portion of the squat. You counting about 15 to 20 seconds before you come back up. That is a true burn. That is a true burn. And I'm probably going to do some videos in regards to that technique. It's an age-old technique. It's an intense way to train, but it's real slow reps, man. It burns. Burns. Yeah, DeMonte, exactly. Slow and control. Slow and control, man. You ain't going, when you see me do something, I'm never really swinging the weight up there, man. Slow and control. Slow and control. The weight bouncing off of your chest, like that's all momentum, man. That's not real strength. It's bouncing off your chest. You bouncing at the bottom of the squat. That bounce helps you get the weight back up. Not true strength. It's momentum. So we always want to focus on slow and control. And when we're dealing with the abs, man, we want to just concentrate. It's another thing too. Concentrate on the muscle being worked. That is important. Concentrate on the abs. Focus on the abs. What you focus on grows. So you got to focus on the abs as you work them. Stop going to, listen, stop doing these workouts and taking this stuff for granted and don't think you got to be mentally involved and engaged with your workout. If you want a certain muscle to grow, if you want a certain muscle to develop, man, you got to visualize that joint while you're working out. You got to be engaged mentally with that muscle while you're working that muscle out. You may have to talk to that muscle while you're working that muscle out. All of this stuff is important. Stop thinking you can just go through the motions and get your results. You got to take your workout time seriously. You got to take your workout time seriously, man. You got to take these exercises seriously. The same way that you would manifest anything in life, you got to take that same approach to your exercises, man. You got to visualize the body that you are aiming for. You got to visualize the body that you are striving to transform it into. You got to visualize it while you are working it. When you working those biceps, man, you got to look at those biceps while you doing those curls. When you doing those crunches, you got to look at those abs, man. You got to see that six pack before it get there. This is important. This is important. DeMonte, you say, why do they say going slow makes you weaker? I get when it's for explosion to go fast, but every time seems like an injury recipe, man. But again, it is. When you go fast, you using momentum. You're using a lot of momentum. It's a myth that when you do the slow reps, that it's making you weaker. The only reason why they say that is because obviously you're not going to be able to handle the heavier weight when you go slow with it. That's the difference. If I'm lifting and using that momentum, then obviously I'll be able to handle more weight. But when I slow it down, I got to decrease the weight because I'm not bouncing it off my chest on the bench press. I'm not bouncing at the bottom. So I'm only able to handle a smaller amount of weight because I'm taking my time. When you speeding through the reps, you're able to do more weight. That's why they say that it makes you weaker, because you're not able to lift as much when you slow it down, but you can work your way up to it. But when you speeding through it, you're able to handle more, obviously, because you speeding through it and you using momentum to get through the sets. I'll tell you, you want what you say, the better looking chest muscles, then you got to get heavy with your incline. Got to do some incline bench press. Got to go heavy with them. Get you some dumbbells. Get you some incline benching going on. And get you some flies. Get you some flies. Get you some dumbbells. Get you some flies going. That's going to help. But you got to go heavy. You got to grab some weight, go heavy on the chest movements if you want to see the chest develop. Yeah, Thunder Scorpion, that bouncing is dangerous, man. That bouncing is dangerous. I don't do it. When you see me lift, I'm controlling that weight. Oh, Master Tube, I recommend the same workouts for people without asthma, because I used to have asthma back in the day. The important thing about asthma is the breathing. So you might want to just extend your rest period. And I wouldn't go too crazy with HIIT training when you have asthma. And if you do it, just give yourself more time, more rest time. That's it. But you can do the same thing, man. You just got to make sure you value your rest time when you are training with asthma. But I had asthma back in the day, and I used to be very active. But the rest is important. But the rest is important. When you're dealing with asthma, when you're dealing with any type of respiratory situation that affects your breathing, you got to make sure you prioritize your breathing. Make sure your breathing is on point while you working out. Don't forget to breathe. That's what you got to tell some people. I'll tell you, yeah, that gym is the missing link for you. That gym is the missing link for you. If you want to develop that chest, we got to get some gym. We got to get some weights in. Get them weights cracking. And that's what I tell people too. When it comes to calisthenics, I love my calisthenics, but something like when you striving to take your body to a certain level, if you got certain areas that you want to develop, you limit it with the calisthenics. Bruce Lee realized this. This is why Bruce Lee incorporated weights into his regimen, because he wanted to take certain body parts to the next level, and he realized he needed weights to do it. So Bruce Lee, master of calisthenics, realized that he needed to add weightlifting to his regimen. So when you strive and when a body part hits a wall and you've been doing a lot of calisthenics and body weight movements, then the only thing that's missing at that point, weights. Only thing that's missing. Walker 4-4, peace. What's going on? So you want to do a nice mixture of strength training, calisthenics, HIIT training, and you will be good to roll. And another important thing too, when you do strength training, when you do any type of lifting with weights, make sure every 4th week you do a deload week, meaning it's an easier week. So you want to increase the intensity every week. You want to make sure you either increase the weight that you are using, so it should go up 5 pounds each week, or if you're doing, let's say, ab movements or something without some weight, then you want to make sure you increasing the reps by 5 each week. So if you started off doing 4 sets of 10, 4 sets of 15, if you don't have access to weights. If you're doing 4 sets of 10 with something with weights, so let's say you did 4 sets of 10, 135. Next week, you do 4 sets of 10, 140. You want to continue to progress like that. That's when you activate all of those results, man. That's when you really see the results. A lot of people, like I said, go through the motions and don't properly plan. So it's important to do that. Make sure you are increasing the intensity each week, and then make sure you scaling it back every 4th week, and then picking back up where you left off on the 5th week. That's important, man. Just give your body a chance to rejuvenate, recuperate, because when you're going hard each week, you stressing the body out. So get that deload week in. That's going to do your body some justice, and that's going to help prevent injuries. Nick, you do the banded push-ups. I mean, not push-ups, banded pull-ups until you work your way up to the level of least resistance. Then you want to start doing your body weight pull-ups. By that point, you should be able to pull your body weight up. So get the banded resistance. Start from the highest level of resistance. Then once you master that, I say get up to 10. So you do 10, boom, next level of resistance. Get up to 10. Then once you do that, boom, next level. Then you want to work your way up to the least resistance. Then once you master 10 there, you should be able to remove the band and you should be able to pull your body weight up from there. Yeah, Tavon, with stretching too, make sure you don't do any static stretching before you lift weights, which means just standing still or not moving. That type of stretching. Don't do that before weightlifting. You do that after the fact. You do that before you go to sleep when you wake up. You want to do dynamic stretching before you engage in strength training or lifting any type of weight. Dynamic stretching. So that's like walking lunges, high knees, butt kicks, arm circles, those type of movements. You want to make sure you're doing those type of stretches before you lift a weight, before you strength train. Static stretching, you don't want to do that before you strength train. That can backfire for you. So you want to make sure you do static stretching after all of the lifting is done, after all of the weightlifting is done, and even the calisthenics. You stretch or static stretch after that. But y'all, man, like I said, man, I ain't had no time today, man. So I may have to tap back in with y'all later on tonight because I was getting going. But I got to head up to this gym, man. I had a busy day today, man. I had to attend funerals, had to make moves today. So I had like 30 minutes, went over that a little bit. But we're going to tap back in. We're going to talk more about this particular subject matter, man. I'm going to catch y'all either tonight or I'm going to come back tomorrow. And we're going to finish where we left off. We're going to pick back up where we left off. So y'all enjoy the rest of this Thursday, man. Y'all be easy out here. I'm going to catch y'all later. I'm out. Peace.